Yo. Good morning. One half of Northwest Sports Fanatics. It's your boy, Orion. I'm going to be going over... Javon, I knew you were going to be waiting. Sorry I didn't come on there last night. Kind of had a long day to run some errands. But I'm here, and I wanted to kind of go over some of the top 5 safeties. I got a couple honorable mention. Yakashapas, what's up? Tyler Hetzel. How you feel about Malcolm Jenkins? I love Malcolm Jenkins. Very underrated. When I go over this top 5, I think this is going to be something where not everyone will agree with me, but this is my top 5, going in to this 2019 season. There'll be other guys that are underneath that. Mark 4, I missed the top 5 corners stream. My grandma was in the hospital that night. Can you tell me who they were? I'm sorry that your grandma was in the hospital. I actually had someone very close to me that was in the hospital about a week and a half ago too. I'm praying for your grandma. I hope everything is okay. Not a fun situation, especially when family members go in there. But I'll be able to go into the corners and the safeties and the running back. So real quickly, just mark 4 so I can do that for you. So I had Xavier Rhodes at 5, Xavier Howard at this is not in any particular order. Because I remember through it, I think I had Xavier Rhodes at 5, Xavier Howard at 4. I believe I had Chris Harris at 3, Jalen Ramsey at 2, and Stephon Gilmore at 1, but it might have been flip-flopped in that area just to kind of give you a gauge. But there's a lot of other guys that are in there that you could kind of throw out. That would be, definitely respectable as far as that. But Harrison Smith is the best. He's one of the best. I wouldn't say that he's the best anymore. At one point, he was the best safety in football, I believe, but I think there's a couple of other guys that have passed him and that have a little bit more potential, a little bit more youth on their side. Mitchell Wilson Jr., what's up, bro? Justin Reed going to be up there. There's a lot of up-and-coming guys. Micah Hyde, I love Micah Hyde. Poyer was definitely a nice addition. From the Browns a few years ago. But I'm going to tell you, man, there's going to be a lot of other guys that are a little bit better than what you're thinking. So I'm just going to go out and throw out some names of guys to be on the lookout for. If you're playing Madden or if you're just, having a conversation with your friends, just to kind of let you know what's going on. But to start it off, these aren't in my top 5, but just guys to kind of talk about. Adrian Amos. Being able to really make a difference in Green Bay. If Green Bay is going to make a playoff run, they're going to need defensive help. We already know what they're going to do on the offense. So that's going to be someone that's going to have to really take off this season. John Johnson III. I got a lot of thirds on my list for some reason. I don't know what. There must be good lineage in the family with all the seconds and thirds and fourths. John Johnson III from the Rams. Very underrated. Played very good last season. Is a big part of that defense. Obviously with Sue not being there, Aaron Donald can hold it down. They have plenty of other pieces there on the defense, but John Johnson III is kind of one of those underrated guys. Not a lot of people know who they are unless you watch a lot of Rams games or follow the NFC pretty heavy. But that's another guy. One of the guys that we mentioned earlier, Micah Hyde. I think Micah Hyde is very underrated for the Bills. A type of guy that is a ball hawk, has good eyes, can read coverage. Keep a lookout for him. And then I'm going kind of real deep on you guys. I'm going to go Jesse Bates III on the Bengals. Now, not a lot of people watch Bengals football. Like how many guys do they really have out there? But that's kind of an up-and-coming guy to be on the lookout for. Jesse Bates III on the Bengals. And then we're kind of getting into essentially my list now as we're going in to I'm going to go 2 honorable mentions, and then I'm going to go into my top 5. And this is what I think. You know what I mean? There's other guys that you could say, but this is what I think real quick. And once I go through that, I'll be able to go through some questions, answers, and go through it. So my first honorable mention is going to be Earl Thomas III. And then Ravens fans are going to be thinking like, what the hell? How can he not be in the top 5? The main reason I don't have him in my top 5, because in the last 3 seasons, he's missed 19 games, right? I think he just turned 30. So I don't know how many games he's going to be able to play. To me, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? No doubt, no question. But I mean, how many games are you going to be out there? And if he ends up playing a full season, that might be the difference between the Ravens making, the playoffs, winning the wild card or getting to the wild card, or maybe someone like the Browns surpassing them with that, weakness on the defense if they can't have him healthy out there because they paid him all that money for some reason, because they thought that he would be able to overcome these injury, issues that he had in Seattle. I love the guy, obviously being out here in the Northwest. To me, out of the Legion of Boom, him and Sherman, were the two best. And then besides Bobby Wagner, not part of the Legion of Boom. I mean, those were their three key guys for years and years and years. One of the best safeties that we've seen ever to put on a jersey. And to be honest, I'm rooting for him. I hope he stays healthy. I hope he proves people wrong. He's a stud. He's one of those guys. A lot of people thought he was going to go to the Cowboys after Seattle played him, putting his arm around, Coach Garrett and talking to Jerry Jones from that area. But being on the Ravens, it's a nice piece to, to add to your team. So that's my first honorable mention. My second honorable mention just missed the top 5 just because he doesn't get enough targets. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Colts and Malik Hooker. This is a guy, if you watched him in college, you kind of knew where he was going to be able to go. Lots of talent. 977 snaps played, but he only saw 9 targets, right? So out of 9 targets, the reason that he hasn't really seen a lot, because they play a drop third, a single high, a split safety. He's like the last man on the defense. They play kind of a different style. So he's literally like one of the last guys out there to be able to stop, guys from scoring. So if we can get some more targets and, obviously more stops, more interceptions, he'll be higher on the list. But I feel just it's kind of like the coverage kind of dictates what he's going to be able to see. And they don't move him kind of like a traditional safety does. You have a lot of different safeties that, do slot, sub packages, traditional box safeties, center field safeties. I mean, the NFL is changing now. But I do think Malik Hooker, if he keeps trying his ultimate best, doesn't get injured, studies the tape. Ohio State players are the shit. Let's just be real for a second. If you got an Ohio State player, typically if it's on defense, obviously we got guys like Zeke at running back and, guys, on offense, that you might have heard of, Michael Thomas, Can't Guard Mike, and a few others. You're going to get a stud. But I do love Malik Hooker, and if the Colts end up making a deep run at the AFC Championship game this year, next year, the year after, you're going to be relying on guys like Malik Hooker on the back end, obviously Darius Leonard in the middle, right? And then Quentin Nelson up front. So I absolutely love Malik Hooker. Don't sleep on him. He's definitely going to be something special. All right, so now here we get into the cream of the crop. We got my list right here. You guys are not going to agree, maybe at first when you hear me say these names, but once I go over some of the stats, you will understand. All right, number 5. This is the cream of the crop, the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. All right, and this safety, to me, used to be, I'm going to say it again, used to be number 1. All right. Number 1 used to be the number 1 safety. We have him now at number 5. I have him, I have a couple guys ahead of him now. And my number 5 safety is on the Minnesota Vikings skull. It's Harrison Smith. And then some of you guys, Viking fans or other fans, like, how the hell is Harrison Smith 5? Because he's one of those really famous names. A lot of people know who he is. But if I go into the stats, you'll kind of see where I'm talking about. So Harrison Smith, he allowed 24 catches, right, on 36 targets, 336 yards, not bad, 3 picks, 2 pass breakups, an opponent rating of 71.1, okay, which is not bad. But when he was like the number 1 safety in 2016, his opponent rating was 29.9. Let me say that again, 29.9 to 71.1. 29.9 is like not even human. That's like some Marvel Universe superhero stuff. You know what I mean? He can play deep in the box. He loves calling the shots. He's athletic. He reads QB's eyes. He can go sideline to sideline. I just think that his production dropped down a little bit from the last couple years. He's probably one of the most recognizable names at the safety position, just right off the bat. If you're thinking about who's great at safety, Harrison Smith is probably going to be the first name that NFL fans think about, just because he has been very consistent and dominant for a long, long time. But That's where I have him. That's me personally. Do I think that he can rebound and get closer to that 2016 opponent quarterback passing rating record number? Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Vikings should be nice, going into the year, but I do have a couple guys that are a little bit better. So number 5, the Vikings. I got Harrison Smith. All right, don't come at me until you come at the stats, because that's what I'm going to tell you. Number 4. Number 4 is a guy that this is one of my favorite players in the NFL, period. He reminds me of kind of like an Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, John Lynch type of player. He's going to keep getting better and better and better. And if he doesn't make, to me at this point, if he keeps playing consistently, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to be one of the faces of the franchise. Most guys are going to know the running back and the quarterback on this team based off name recognition. But to me, this is the best player on their team, hands down. I'm talking about the New York Jets, Jets, Jets. I'm talking about Jamal Adams. This guy is a monster. LSU safety, came into the league, took it by storm, allowed 24 catches on 48 targets, 291 yards. It's a little bit less yardage than Harrison Smith. 1 pick, 6 pass breakups, opponent rating of 67.3, 94 tackles, 3 forced fumbles. This guy is a G. This guy is all over the field. Look for him to make big plays over and over and over again. Like I said, he keeps getting better and better. You're going to be able to see him get, Pro Bowl recognition, All-Pro recognition. And I think that if the Jets, once they get to that contract situation, they got to lock him up long-term, because this is one of the best players that they've ever had. I know they got Le'Veon Bell, and I know they got Darnold, and I know they got a lot of other guys, but I really do, like Jamal Adams. To me, he's one of my favorite players. You watch him on the field, it gives you a reason to watch the Jets, right? Unless you have Le'Veon Bell on fantasy, or you want to see progression of Darnold comparing to maybe Baker Mayfield to say, hey, who's better? Who is the better quarterback? Is it the pocket guy who's kind of quiet, a quiet leader, right, in Darnold, right, from USC? Or is it the horns down, the kind of the guy that's going to be in your face, chest bumping, and a little swag in Baker Mayfield? So that's kind of what I feel about Jamal Adams. A little bit better than Harrison Smith, but there's time for Harrison Smith to catch up. But it's going to be a tough battle, because my top 3, there's not a lot of guys that can touch this top 3. You can literally interchange 4, 3, 2, and 1 in my book. Pretty simply, Harrison, I have it as solid 5. But as we go to number 3, this was tough for me, because I almost wanted to put him at number 2 or 1. But as I looked at the stats, there's some guys that, have really put in the work and the time. So number 3 is probably, besides Jamal Adams, the most physical, the most upside out of any safety that I feel moving forward has not even got close to hitting the ceiling yet. Jamal Adams. And my number 3 player, if you watch this player at Florida State, you know how good he is. He made Gus Bradley's defense elite. He really took it to a whole nother level. So if you already don't know who I'm talking about the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm talking about Derwin James. This might be my favorite safety right now playing. Lots of potential. He allowed 44 catches, 62 targets, only 364 yards, 3 picks, 6 pass breakups, opponent rating of 76.3. He's an MVP blitzer. Let me say it again. An MVP blitzer on the edge. 4 sacks, 3 QB hits, 14 hurries. He's a great run stopper too. Check this out. 91 tackles, 47 stops. And in safety terms in the NFL, that's number 1. So for me not to have him overall at number 1 and I have him at 3, that should show you what kind of players I feel that might be slightly ahead of him, but they're all right there. I mean, we're talking about, 1A, 1B, 1C. I mean, it's not really a big separation. One of the best players in the NFL already. I absolutely love Derwin James. So make sure you keep a lookout for him, because like I said, if the Chargers can get past the Chiefs, the Colts, New England Patriots, right, and somehow they can get Phillip Rivers to a Super Bowl, you better believe it's going to be behind Bosa, Ingram, and Derwin James, one of the best trios in the NFL. Player for player on the Chargers, they might have one of the best player-for-player defenses, hands down, in the league right now. Number 3, Derwin James, arguably my favorite player at safety going into 2019. He's up there, but I got him at 3. Number 2, you're like, wow, well, with Derwin James Orion loves him so much. How the hell is there 2 guys ahead of him? Number 2 is a guy that's in Chicago on the Bears. He is a ball hawk. You saw what he did in college at Alabama. Roll Tide. We're talking about the ball hawk, the guy that can pick up fumbles and run all of them back into the end zone. Pick sixes galore. We're talking about the well-rounded Eddie Jackson. All right, allowed 24 catches on 44 targets, only 256 yards, only allowed 3 TDs, opponent passer rating 54.9, so that's very low. 45 tackles, 6 picks, has had 5 defensive touchdowns in the past 2 years. Let me say that again. 5 defensive touchdowns in the past 2 years, 3 pick sixes, and 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns. With stats like that, it definitely gives me a little bit of an edge over Derwin James, but I like Derwin James as far as being physical, playing in the box, getting, sacks, playing back in coverage. But if you're talking about a guy that's going to get you points, a guy that is a game changer, that in a blink of an eye, you could be down by 3 and then up by 4 with him obviously on your defense. I love Eddie Jackson. Look for him to do big things. He's not going to slow down. He's arguably one of the best secondary, players that we've seen. I would say in the last probably 5 to 10 years, there's not a lot of guys. He kind of reminds me a little of Troy Polamalu, a guy that can go all over the field and do everything. Ed Reed as well, guys that can intercept the ball, take it to the house, pick up fumbles, hit. He can do it all. He is one of those guys that is an amazing player. They better lock him up. The Bears. And with him and Khalil Mack moving forward, they have something special. So that's my number 2, Eddie Jackson. And then you guys are thinking, well, he went over Hooker and Earl, right? And went over some of the other names, Smith, Jamal Adams, Derwin James, Eddie Jackson. Well, who the hell is left? My number 1 safety going into this year, and I believe is undoubtedly the number 1 safety in the league, and he's been very solid. We're talking about the Titans' very own Kevin Byard. Look the stats up. Come at me. This is what we're going to go over. Allowed 21 catches out of 30 targets. Only 172 yards. Let me say that again. 21 for 30, 172 yards. Only allowed 1 touchdown. Opponent passer rating of 55.8, 62 tackles, 4 picks, 8 picks the year before. There's not guys that usually get 10 picks. Ronnie Lott, I think it's since 1986. Prior to that, there was only guys, there were guys that were getting 10 at safety, but it's very rare. And then there was a few guys that have gotten 9. But to get to double digits, it's very hard at the safety position. Free safety, strong safety. I mean, we don't even really go by those classifications anymore because you pretty much have to be an all-around ball-hawking center field safety. He's got lateral quickness, probably better than most of these guys on the list. He's got range to cover. I mean, he can literally cover all over the field. He reads the QB eyes, probably the best out of any safety that I've seen in quite a while. And then besides that, he reads wide receiver routes, probably the best out of all these safeties that I'm going over. Definitely something special. I don't know how many pieces that are going to be added to him. Obviously, the big question for them is Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, who's going to be their starting quarterback. But the defense has always been solid. And look for Kevin Byard to do it again. There's going to be guys nipping at his heels. Harrison Smith has already been at that number 1 position for quite some time, scaled back a little bit, but Jamal Adams, Derwin James, Eddie Jackson, they're coming for the top spot. So that is essentially my top 5 safeties going into the league, the impact they're going to have on their teams. If they were not on their teams, the Vikings with Harrison Smith, the Jets and Jamal Adams, Derwin James and the Chargers, Eddie Jackson and the Bears, Kevin Byard and the Titans, their teams would suffer. They would not be as good. So that is my top 5. Now it's time to chat with y'all and to get into the questions and answers here. So let me go in here, and I'm going to scroll back just a little bit. Let's see. Heelpock, if you're looking for an under-the-radar name, which is a rookie from Delaware, Nasir Adderley played with Derwin James, should be a great pairing for years to come on the Chargers. Yes, I definitely agree. I watched tape on him a lot. I think he is going to be kind of that under-the-radar. They were talking about if he was going to be a steal in the draft. And he comes from Delaware. You know what I mean? I like those small school guys because a lot of the big school guys get a lot of pub, but small school guys don't. They got a chip on their shoulder. And sometimes the guys from the smaller schools, NBA, Kawhi Leonard, right? San Diego State, Paul George, Fresno State, and then some of these NFL guys that have gone to smaller schools. They show out, and I love it. So I definitely agree there. Let's see. Quandre Diggs is the most underrated safety in the league. Cadet KD. Definitely has some potential and some upside. We'll have to kind of see. Let's see here. Mark 4. Hey, Ryan, I have a suggestion for you. Would you please just hear me out for 5 seconds? If you say yes, I'll tell you what it is. Mark 4, you can go ahead in just a second here and go ahead and type out what you want there on the bottom, and I'll get into some of the other comments. I'm all about you guys. So let's go here. Damian Pacquiao. Adams is a monster. Agreed. He is insanely good. Lots of room to grow. And I like his swag. You get the swag from some of these guys from LSU and some of the other schools, Alabama. There's a reason why these guys are good. They believe in themselves, and they keep getting better and better. They're definitely guys that aren't going anywhere for quite some time. Mark 4, how many TDs will Kyler Murray throw this year? That's a great question. We got Jason Lyle says 20. We got Dev W10, Sixer 28. Damon says 26. Heelpock says 26. Heelpock says 6 or 7 rushing TDs. That's a good question. You know what I mean? The thing is we don't really know with that offense how it's going to look. Is David Johnson the running back he was from a couple years ago? Can Larry Fitz and Christian Kirk develop a chemistry with him sooner than later? Is the defense going to be bad? Is the O-line going to be bad? Yeah. I believe that the O-line is not going to be very good. I believe that the D is not going to be very good. So they might just let it, if they can protect him a little so he can let it loose and go through his progressions, it's possible. But to be honest, if he ends up getting 30 touchdowns, right, I wouldn't be surprised. Not 40, not 50, but if he ends up getting 30, because if you think about it, you got 16 games in the regular season, and he stays healthy for all of them, right? 16 times 2 is 32, right? I'm not sure if he can average 2 touchdowns a game. There might be games where he gets none, where he gets like 0 touchdowns and 3 picks and looks horrible, right? But there might be games where he gets 4 touchdowns and 2 picks, or maybe, 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. I mean, it's possible. I mean, he's got an arm. We don't really know how good he's going to be just yet, but if I had to put a number on it, I would see somewhere around the 30 range, a little bit better than what people are thinking, and he is going to score on the ground. I would at least give him a 3 or 4 touchdowns on the ground with maybe upside of 5 or more, but he definitely is going to be an impact player. They picked him number 1, so I don't think he's going to be a bust one bit. Is he going to be a Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson? That's yet to be seen, but I do think that there's some potential there, and that's good. We need that for the NFC West, because if you have Kyler Murray turning into a star, right, and then you end up having the Niners with Jimmy G, then Russell Wilson and Jared Goff in the Goffets, those games will be more exciting moving forward instead of like, the Cardinals are on. I don't want to watch this, or I'm going to watch something else. So that's my personal opinion on it. So Pittsburgh for life. I got $100 on Devin Bush to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year, to collect $800. Go Steelers. You know what? He's the Ryan Shazier replacement. He's got good family lineage. Derek Brooks is very close to him. That's my ultimate favorite player of all time, Derek Brooks. But we also have to think about guys like Devin White on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That, to me, not trying to be a homer, even though I'm a Buccaneer fan, I think Devin White is the athletically, as far as the players, maybe Josh Allen as well. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a stud on the defensive side of the ball. But I think Devin White, we'll have to wait and see, and we'll have to see who proves it, might have the biggest impact. Not saying that Devin Bush isn't good. He actually is one of my favorite rookies coming in, and he's going to make a huge difference for Pittsburgh because they needed to fill that spot on defense. When Ryan Shazier went down, they never really were the same. And now they don't have Le'Veon Bell, and they don't have AB, but they have James Conner, the Terminator, and they have Juju, which I like, younger, right? They have things to prove. They got a lot of swag. Connor's a great guy on and off the field. So Devin Bush is going to be one of those guys. I think his jersey in Pittsburgh is going to sell very good. It's going to be one of those guys that people go out of their way to go buy his jersey. And then if he doesn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year, he's going to be damn close. I think he's going to make a big impact for them there moving forward. All right. Mark 4, I see Daniel Jones taking Manning's job. Anyone else? It's going to happen, but we got to wait and see how many games they lose first before they replace him. If they have him sit the whole year and learn, it could benefit him. They kind of reached for him at that pick, but I think that he's getting a lot of kind of negativity, and people are kind of already calling him a bust already. We have to wait and see who's going to be better between Jones and Haskins moving forward. And there's a good chance maybe both of them aren't it. Maybe both of them aren't the franchise guys. But what if they are? You got to give them a fair shot. Damon Pacquiao says Eddie Jackson is a ball hawk. Damn right he is. Probably the best ball hawking safety we've seen in years since Troy Polamalu, in my personal opinion. Let's see here. Byard is elite, Mark 4. Definitely a great player at safety all around. And I mean, if you don't watch Titans games, I mean, of course it's easy to go over name recognition, but I like to look at the stats. I like to look over everything. Too trash for me. YT, no Earl. I have him just on the outside looking in. The only reason I had him there in the last 3 seasons, he's missed 19 games, but I really believe that if he can stay healthy, he'll be right back in the top 5, next year. It's just a matter of his health. That's the only thing that I have him not really being in there compared to guys like Harrison Smith, Jamal Adams, Derwin James, Eddie Jackson, Kevin Byard. They're going to be on the field, in my opinion. So, yeah, I figured you probably didn't put him in there because of the injury. Yeah, but the thing is that he's always been, to me, prior to the injuries and missing the games, he's always been a top 5 safety. You could argue with him and Harrison Smith in the past couple years have probably been the most consistent safeties for quite a while. I mean, they kind of held that position down. Eric Weddle was up there for quite some time, but has gotten a little bit older too. So there's been some names that have been up there, but sometimes the new breed comes along and they're a little bit bigger, faster, stronger, and they do things a little bit better. And then when guys get a little older, they take a step back. I mean, it's kind of the natural process, going into the league. So, all right, Mark 4. For my idea, I was thinking you could do a fantasy league with subscribers and one day in August have a live stream and have your fantasy draft. Always worse, Marcus. We did I'm not sure if you're a new subscriber or someone that's new, that we did one last year with the fans. So we actually did our first year of our Northwest Sports Fanatics Fantasy Football League, and we actually had people from our channel, and we did a league together. We could possibly do a live stream with that. That'll be something that we possibly could do, but I'll give the details on that, and if any of you guys on here now want to be a part of it, I'll give you the details when we get a little bit closer to that time, if you would be a part of it. It was great. I believe that we finished third or fourth. It was a pretty competitive league out of 12 guys. And like I said, it was one of those things. I mean, you got to really dig deep on the wire and do everything it takes, especially when you got sport fanatics all going after the title. So, and Marcus is at the beach. He's been at the beach for the last, 2, 3, 4 days. So I took the equipment back to my house just to pump out some more videos, because it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to be recording more. Like as we are moving forward, I need to be able to get more material out to you guys. And ultimately, if I can step away from my full-time job and just record full-time, that's the ultimate goal. And I just wanted to be able to connect with you guys because we haven't been able to go live a lot. It's a lot of just videos uploaded, videos with highlights that we don't get paid on at all. And you know what I mean? So we want to make sure that we kind of cover all the bases where we can do very different kinds of videos. But I like interacting with you guys. I mean, you guys are awesome. You guys have great questions. I'm going to give you my personal answers. You guys respect my opinions. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with all of them. And I love it. I love the interaction. You guys get to know me a little bit better than just, on the videos, and you can't talk to me on some of those other ones. So definitely Fantasy Football League, year number 2. We're going to be in there. John Roberts. Kyler Murray will do okay. Josh Rosen is a good quarterback, and he didn't do very well with the Cardinals. Well, he didn't do very well with the Cardinals because their O-line is booty. Booty-O's, as New Day would say. Baby! Okay? So anyone that has a booty O-line is not going to be good. I like Kyler Murray better than Josh Rosen, and unfortunately, Josh Rosen probably isn't going to be the guy moving forward in Miami. A good place for him to start his career over and compete, with other guys. Ryan Fitzpatrick. So we'll see, but I don't think either of those guys, they're the worst team in the football right now to me. So unless they really can get great numbers out of the quarterback position, maybe tanking for Tua or Justin Herbert, somebody different. Kind of a bad rap for Josh Rosen. You know what I mean? He just, was one of the better quarterbacks. You saw him at UCLA. He's got potential, smart kid, but I mean, he probably will have to go to another team to be able to get his shot. And then, I mean, who knows? I mean, could be like the Patriots, some, team that you're not even thinking of. And then all of a sudden he's not that good of a quarterback. Then he goes there after maybe Brady retires. And then obviously Josh Rosen takes over. I mean, I could definitely see some weird things like that happening. So let's see here. Glenn Key, big Nolans Saints fan. What chance do you give us to win the Super Bowl? a very good chance. You are my favorite team to make the Super Bowl and win it. Drew Brees, MVP. I think this could be the year. You've had 2 devastating years of losses. Minneapolis Miracle, bullshit call, obviously with the pass interference against the Rams. I like the team. They're well-rounded. You're going to have to get past New England or Kansas City or San Diego or the Colts. Los Angeles Chargers, because I can't call them Los Angeles. I want to call them San Diego. But you're going to also have to compete with the Rams, the Eagles, and plenty of other teams that are going to be fighting for your guys' spot to get there. So NFC Championship game should be the first goal, and then just go from there. But I think if the Saints do make the Super Bowl, they're winning it. I mean, the Super Bowl might be the NFC Championship game. That's usually the most competitive division compared to the AFC as far as talent. They're deeper. It's like in the NBA and the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. The Eastern Conference is the AFC, like it is in basketball. And the Western Conference, right, in the NBA is like the NFC. I think there's a little bit more weapons in the AFC, right, than there is in the Eastern Conference and NBA. But that's just how the league is right now with guys moving around. Kawhi obviously going to the Clippers and so forth. Karissa Lozano. I hope Mike Hughes has a good year after his rookie injury with the Vikings. Me too. I think that the Vikings are going to need all their guys healthy. I love Xavier Rhodes. I love Harrison Smith. I like the opportunities that you guys have in your secondary. You guys have a great defense. Your front seven's great. So it's going to be one of those things. You're going to have to get the production out of everyone if you're going to try to beat an elite quarterback, not number 7 quarterback in Madden named Aaron Rodgers, which they got comically wrong. That was just insane that they would put someone that low. The Bears are going to have arguably one of the best defenses besides the Chargers, player for player. It's going to be hard to score points on them, so you're going to have to be able to do that. And the Lions are a sleeper. You just don't really know what you're going to get. They probably will end up at the bottom of the division again with little brother looking up to big brother. But if you take the Lions for granted, you may split with them in the regular season. So they got guys that are very capable to be able to make big plays. So you got to be able to keep an eye out for that. But I do love Mike Hughes' potential. Definitely pairing up with guys like Xavier Rhodes. Rhodes closed, right? And a few of some of these other guys. It's going to be exciting moving forward. All right. Mark 4, Glenn Key. I'm a Saints fan also. He says, who dat? Not the Saints. You guys should go subscribe to NOS. He's a Saints YouTuber. There you go. Lots of Saints fans, a lot of different Saints, YouTubers putting out great videos. Definitely do that. John Roberts. I put 100 on Bills winning the AFC East. I have a feeling this is this year. Well, I would call the bookie or your friend and get your money back, because even though I love the Bills' chances of getting better with a young quarterback like that going against Tom Brady and Belichick and what they have even with Gronk gone and even with the Jets and what they have done in the offseason, chances are you guys are going to be able to beat Miami in the division. You guys are more than likely are not going to beat out the Jets unless some injuries happen to Le'Veon Bell, Darnold, Jamal Adams, and some of the other guys, and you're definitely not beating New England this year. I don't want to have you just lose money. You got to consult your boy. I don't want you to lose $100. All right, because the thing is, the Bills in the future, right, have a chance to win that division, but probably not until Tom Brady or Belichick leave, and that's big facts. The Bills. The Dolphins and the Jets have all been kind of mediocre. Some years they are above average, some years they're below average, but this isn't the year that they're going to be able to get past Tom Brady and Bill Belichick unless there is significant season-ending injuries. And like I said, I still like the Jets even over the Bills, just because I think they have more talent on the roster. But the Bills are going to surprise some people, but I just don't know how many games that they're going to get to, and I don't see them making the playoffs this year. And that's just my personal opinion. No hate, not trying to be a hater, just trying to save you $100, all right? Heel Park, my fantasy league is doing individual defenders, and I'm 100% going to be taking Devin White and Devin Bush to fill up those spots, hopefully a Bobby Wagner. Well, you're a smart guy. You already see the potential. Bobby Wagner, Luke Kuechly, those type of guys, amazing, right? Those type of style running linebackers, and Devin Bush and Devin White. These guys are going to show out. They are going to make a difference. These guys are going to be leading the defense for years and years and years to come. And I like Devin Bush just as much as I like Devin White, even though I'm a Buccaneers fan, not trying to be a homer. I think Devin Bush on the Steelers is going to be amazing. But I think as far as athletically, leadership, sideline to sideline, I think Devin White, to me, has the front-running edge to win Defensive Player of the Year just because of everything that he does already. In Buccaneers camp already right now, they have him as like the number 1 rated player on defense already. over Sue, over Levante David, over guys that have been there already. So Levante David's my current favorite player. So if White's already competing and they're respecting him already at day one, that says a lot about an organization that's been dysfunctional since 2007. So Bush is going to be able to get the leadership too. There's not going to be a lot of egos, I feel, on the Steelers defense. They'll listen to him, and they're going to be able to try to make a run at the playoffs. And I think that if they make it, I wouldn't be shocked. The Pittsburgh Steelers. So, all right, let's see here. All right, Mitchell Wilson Jr. just got back to the live feed and was Honey Badger in my top 5. No, he wasn't. He's one of those guys that kind of had on the outside looking in. He has had some injury issues. I do like Honey Badger. He's kind of in that boat with like Malik Hooker or Earl Thomas III, where I have some of those guys there. With it, like I said, with my top 5, I had Harrison Smith at 5, Jamal Adams at 4, Derwin James at 3, Eddie Jackson at 2, Kevin Byard at 1. Went over some great stats. You can go back and watch the video and it'll kind of go over that. But I think Honey Badger is going to make immediate impact. And if the Chiefs make an AFC Championship a game again, a big reason of it is going to be Chris Jones. Who? Chris Jones, right? Frank Clark from Seattle, obviously joining the roster, and Honey Badger. Those 3 guys are going to be able to lead the force, and that's really what's going to get you guys a deep run, because that was the only thing you guys were missing. Patrick Mahomes, the clone, Showtime is amazing. You already know what he's going to do. Tyreek the Freak Hill is not suspended. You're going to win a lot of games, at a minimum 11 or more, right? But the defense was kind of holding you guys back, but I do like Honey Badger kind of on the outside looking in. A couple years ago, he was probably a top 5 safety, but I have him kind of sliding back into that kind of 6 to 10 range as far as some of the other guys that are on the list and a couple other guys that are going to be on there. So, John Roberts, have you looked into the Bills this offseason? Do you think they have a chance to take down the Pats for the AFC East? I have done a lot of digging with the Bills. I've done a lot of digging with a lot of the teams to look at the draft, who they got drafted, right? Who they have in place. You know, guys like Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. I do my research, you know what I mean? The thing is that, you know, with New England and having the same coaching staff, you know, for like 15, 20 years for the most part, you know, and what the Jets added with Le'Veon Bell, and then guys like Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold getting better in this, you know, follow-up year, it's going to be tough. I like Josh Allen, at quarterback, and a few of these other guys that they got, but like Frank Gore, you know, and Shady, they're a little older. So, I mean, I don't really know what to expect from them at the running back position. What are we going to get, you know, on offense as a whole, right? What are we going to get on the defensive side of the ball? Defensive side of the ball will probably be better than the offensive side of the ball, if I had to take a guess. The defensive side has been better for quite a few years. If you usually use them in fantasy, you can look up there. Bills defense usually has some pretty damn good stats, especially with guys like Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. But I think they're just a few years away. There's some hope, right? But when you're in that division, the AFC East, New England's been running that for forever. I mean, you got to wait for Tom Brady to walk away, Belichick to move on, but then you still probably have Josh McDaniels, and so it might still be a rough patch, you know, moving forward, depending on who they have after Brady. So, with the Stidham that they drafted this year, is that the successor? Maybe, but it seems like they trade away anyone. They probably should have never got rid of Jimmy G or Jacoby Brissett, but I mean, it is what it is. They want to get the pieces, so. Heel Puck, I'd love to get in the fantasy league. I'm in need in redemption of I got last year due to all my injuries piling up. Oh, you got last year. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that happens sometimes. But it's all about how you draft. That'll really help you get there. And you have to really dig deep and do a lot of the research and not pick quarterbacks too early. You know, stack up on running backs and wide receivers, you know, for a few rounds, you know, before you actually start reaching. You know, if you get a quarterback in like the first 4 or 5 rounds and it's not Patrick Mahomes, you're probably going to lose your fantasy league. You got to really go deep. So, LOL, booty O-line, John Roberts says. Let's see here. Mark 4, I got this person in my draft to trade me Aaron Jones for Adrian Peterson, and I got Mariota for Daniel Jones. Interesting. What do you think about Tyreek not getting suspended, Mitchell Wilson Jr.? A lot of the information that I've been hearing, I've heard what he said to his girlfriend about she should be afraid of him, kind of some alarming comments, right? But in the NFL, they do a lot of the suspension based off, you know, physical abuse, like, you know, Kareem Hunt kicking the girl outside the hotel room, Ray Rice, you know, doing unspeakable acts to his girlfriend wife in the elevator. So if it's just words and he didn't break his child's arm, then I don't think he should be suspended. But a lot of times Goodell, you know, likes to, you know, clamp down and you know, kind of show and make an example. But for Chiefs fans, you love this. Chiefs Kingdom, right? You're going to get him right from the start. That's going to help you win at least one or two more games throughout the season. But I want to make sure that, people understand, players need to be disciplined. There shouldn't be anyone that has special treatment. You know what I mean? Especially if it's going to be mental or physical abuse, verbal abuse, like that. That's not okay. But as far as I can see, this girl was someone that he was with prior in college too, and she lied about stuff back then. So ultimately, Tyreek needs to get a new girl, all right? Get a new one. Get a new summer girl. Get a new fall girl. Get somebody else, because this girl is bringing you in trouble, it seems like, pretty frequently. Elliot Evans, hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm back. Of course I do. You're a New Orleans Saints fan. Of course I remember. Do you believe, C-Man, I'll catch up to the comments here, but I just want to go through everyone's, just letting you guys know. C-Man, do you believe the Redskins are a bottom 3 team? Bottom 3 team in the whole entire NFL? No. I think that the Giants will be worse than them. They'll be trying to compete with the Eagles and Cowboys, but I don't think they will. They have a good chance of losing their first 4 or 5 games of the season just because the schedule is tough. I like Haskins as their quarterback. I want him to start week 1, but I know they won't, just to get him the experience, even if he loses those games against tough opponents. I think the Redskins are going to be one of those teams that are going to fight hard, but at the end of the year, more than likely to me, I think about 5 to 7 wins. That's kind of where I see that they're going to be. I'm not sure if Marcus would agree with you, but I know he told me the schedule of the first 4 or 5 games, and it's tough. So, I mean, they literally could start 0-4, but I think they're going to fight. Trent Williams, getting all that situation handled, making sure that you have someone to block for Haskins, because if he's not in there, then you're screwed. You're not going to be able to have time to go through your progressions. But Geis coming for his first year, being injured of all of last year. AP as maybe the backup. The defense with Ryan Kerrigan is one of my favorite players ever to play in the NFL. A very sleeper kind of player on defense, because I love defense first. Some guys were like, he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, he will. Ryan Kerrigan is a Hall of Fame player. And if you look at his stats compared to everybody else and how many years in a row and consistent play he's put up with sacks, tackles, he's a guy that can really make a difference. The problem is they need guys more than him or Jonathan Allen. They need a lot of help, but getting in Landon Collins from the Giants will be a key piece to help them. We just got to see if that the offense can score enough points to keep up with the defense. So let's see here. Jason Lau, I have a question. What do you think of Taylor Rapp and the safety the Rams drafted out of Washington? I love him. Underrated, physical, ball hawk. The Rams have got some issues, obviously, with Todd Gurley, whether the Rams fans want to admit it or not. This Taylor Rapp kid is going to be special. I watch a lot of Pac-12 football. Right now I got ESPNU college football top 25 games of 2018-19. They have a marathon that they've been replaying all the way from 25-1 and then 25-1 again. So if you guys aren't doing anything right now besides listening to me, turn the TV on. I mean, there's a lot of MLB on too, but I love watching tape. I love watching college football and the NFL games, but I do love Taylor Rapp. He is going to be a guy that's going to be able to make a differerence there. I love him. All right. Marvin Pereira. Yo. Sup, y'all? All right. Too trash for me, YT. What one player are you excited for and think has a bigger upside to be great that not too many people are talking about? Are we talking rookies, or are we talking like just NFL players in general? To me right now, I mean, I can give you like well-known guys that I think that are slept on. My most underrated player in the NFL that doesn't get enough love from, I think, NFL circles, sport fanatics, fans in general, is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is one of those guys when people say top 5 wide receiver, top 10 wide receiver, in some circles, he doesn't even crack that top 10 because you got name recognition of Odell Beckham, Julio, and AJ Green and all these guys that, might have been good, are great, a couple years ago, maybe had injuries like AJ Green and have scaled back a little bit. But Keenan Allen, to me, is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL, and also maybe overall the most underrated player on offense on that side of the ball. The guy is a monster. Tyrell Williams going to the Raiders will open up some holes for him and Mike Williams. So Phillip will be able to do big things, and I think he'll have a big year, but he gets slept on a lot. And as far as maybe defense, Cameron Jordan from the New Orleans Saints. I mean, if you are a Saints fan, you know how good he is. But when you talk about like top 10 defenders in the league, top 15 pass rushers. It seems like his name gets left out of a lot of the circles. Yeah, J.J. Watt, Von Miller, Khalil Mack. It's easy to go with the big names, but I think Cameron Jordan doesn't get enough respect personally. I'm a Bucs fan. I think he's amazing. I'd love to have him on the Bucs, both of those players, and they have chips on their shoulder, and they bring the motor, they bring the heat. They got supreme gas in the tank, you know what I mean? And they're not slowing down. And then as far as like rookies are concerned, there's a lot of guys that I think that are going to shine. Not to be a homer, but I'm really excited for Devin White. I haven't had a player like this in a long time. This could be the second coming of a Patrick Willis or maybe like a Ray Lewis 2.0. Derek Brooks was my ultimate best favorite player of all time. And then obviously Levante David now. And then this guy might be able to be better than both of them at one point when it's all said and done. Maybe I can say he'll be better than Levante David sooner than later, which I still love as one of my favorite players. But Derek Brooks is first ballot Hall of Famer, a great player. So it'll take a lot of consistency, from this type of player to get there. But from everything I've read, all the tape that I've watched, all the interviews I've watched, now it's just about he got him signed a couple days ago. So now it's just about getting out there and kicking ass and taking names. And I think he can do that. So John Roberts, AFC has the best defenses in the league. That's debatable. You know what I mean? They definitely have great defenses. New England's is usually top 10. The Bills and the Jets have good D as well. Miami's defense at times is good too. But there's a lot of other defenses out there as well. But I do agree. Are you talking about AFC East or are you talking about AFC in general? If you're talking about AFC in general, I mean, don't sleep on some of the defenses in the NFC, right? New Orleans Saints, the Rams, the Eagles. I mean, there's a lot of solid – the Panthers, when they're healthy. I mean, there's a lot of defenses that are solid in the NFC as well. Mark 4, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Drew Brees getting a Madden rating of 92? Ridiculous. He should be a 95 or higher. Yes, he's getting a little bit older in that 37-year-old, group of Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers and some of these guys, but that's such a disrespectful stat. When you're putting Drew Brees, no disrespect to Andrew Luck and some of these other guys that are around that 92 range, but let's be real. Drew Brees, even though he's a little older, I would take him over Andrew Luck. Even though I think Andrew Luck is going to be a monster in fantasy this year, he'll probably be the second or third quarterback taken in a lot of leagues, believe it or not. So do your homework, and see. Matt Ryan is another guy also that has scored the most fantasy points at quarterback in the last 3 years. Pretty consistent. You'd probably be able to grab a guy like that deeper, 5th, 6th, 7th round in fantasy. But I do like what Drew Brees has to offer, and he's going to be able to – he doesn't have to go deep and throw the seam routes and the post routes. Michael Thomas will get his, but it's going to be a time where they can hand the ball off a lot to Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill with some trick plays. I really like what they have to offer moving forward, and I have them winning the NFC South with 3 Fs, and I had to take one team to make the NFC Championship game. It's the New Orleans Saints. I truly love that team, and even though I'm a Buck fan, I have no hate. So that's big facts. All right, let me see here. I'm getting closer to catching up to you guys with the comments here. So let's see here. Mitchell Wilson Jr. It was proven that he didn't break his son's arm to Tyreek the Freak Hill. It was due to a fall. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of excited to see Tyreek Hill from week 1 and forward. If you guys want to get past New England or the Chargers or the Colts, and you have that same amazing play from Patrick the clone, as we would call him, or Showtime, as other people would call him, Mahomes, you're going to be able to need him to repeat what he did last year. But the big key is going to be people are sleeping on Damian Williams, and he is a very, very, very underrated running back. He'll pick up where he left off last year, and with Kareem Hunt gone, they won't miss him. Kareem Hunt was amazing in his rookie year, but Damian Williams can give you everything that Kareem Hunt's going to give you. He's going to be able to get enough carries. Andy Reid's schemes and his play calling will make a lot of guys look better than they are, but also in reality, the players are better than you think. So you got to remember that as well. All right, let's see here. Talking about the Bears have the best defense in football. There's another team. The Bears do have one of the best defenses in football. I like the Chargers defense. I like New England's defense. I like the Broncos defense. There's a lot of defenses on both sides that have great defenses. You can't sleep on that. So you think, Mark 4, you think the Saints can three-peat in the NFC South? Orleans Saints. I'm putting a stamp on it right now. Yes, they are going to three-peat. They've gone through pain and misery in the last 2 years. They are going to, big facts, stamp that, win the NFC South, and I don't think anyone's going to want to play them. So that's big facts. All right. Until a team other than New England or Pittsburgh wins a Super Bowl, the AFC is forever weak. Damon Pacquiao, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, we had Denver, with Peyton Manning, be able to get in there. You had the Ravens a few years back, obviously with Ray Lewis, with his kind of farewell tour. But, the thing is for me, NFC football, you don't really know. There's usually 2 or 3 teams, but then usually there's about 8 that anything could happen. Like the year that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, did you guys really think at the beginning of the year that they were going to go? Or the year that the Panthers went and played, Denver, did you think that they would go 15-1 with Cam? No. So it's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. But ultimately, if you get to the Super Bowl, if you're an NFC guy, you got to win it. You know what I mean? But sometimes when you go against, these top-end teams like New England, unless you're like the Philadelphia Eagles, fly, you got to have everything go right. Wentz went down, Foles went in, but the reason that you won that Super Bowl, Eagles fans, and I called it big too, you had 4 running backs, you had the 4 horsemen, you had a better O-line, you had a better D-line, and then your play calling was better. You had, Philly. You had bigger plays that made an impact, and you didn't turn the ball over, and the defense played better. And that's why you guys won, and I had a feeling that you guys would. But, it takes a lot for me to pick a team over New England when they go to the Super Bowl. Like last year when the Rams went, I knew with Gurley's knee, I just kind of knew New England was going to win. If Gurley was 100%, more than likely they would have won. But they didn't get enough production out of him towards the end. If they would have had him and C.J. Anderson, then, with that combo with C.J., how he was playing towards the end of the year, I think that the game would have been a lot closer. New England may have still been able to squeak it out if Gurley played, but I really think if Gurley was 100%, that the Rams probably would have had a good chance to win the Super Bowl last year. So, all right. Marvin Pierre, I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on the Raw reunion tomorrow? I am excited. I am a big wrestling guy. SmackDown, right? Monday Night Raw, AEW, WCW Nitro, ECW. I watch everything, old stuff, new stuff. It's cool to be able to see, because right now what they're saying is Paul Heyman is running Raw. Eric Bischoff is running SmackDown behind the scenes. It's from what I heard, based off AKA quote unquote sources, right? Will the NWO make an appearance and come back at some point? There's speculation. And maybe John Cena will go heel and be one of the guys that is there. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen tomorrow, but they're kind of speculating some certain things, different angles. But I love seeing a lot of the old guys, come back. I don't think The Rock is going to be there. He's real busy plugging his movie, the Hobbs movie and whatnot with the Fast and the Furious. But if he shows up, that would be great. But seeing Stone Cold, he's one of my favorites. Hollywood Hogan, brother, he's one of my favorites of all time. I like kind of the heel characters more than just faces. But I'm definitely super excited. I'm definitely watching that. Maybe I'll even go live for Monday Night Raw reunion. We'll have to wait and see. Eventually I'm going to end up doing wrestling videos too, just because the love that I have for wrestling, a lot of people don't get it, but I've been watching since I was like 4 years old, and I'm 37. So even though I don't look 37, I am 37. So it's one of those things that it's in my blood forever. Wrestling figures, wrestling rings, collectibles. I'm a fan. When the pay-per-views come to town, I go. When Raw comes to town or SmackDown, I go. It's one of those things I'll never, ever stop. I'll be 80 years old if I'm still alive, and I'll still be watching Monday Night Raw. So that shows you how much I love wrestling. It'll never be old to me. I love it up there with the NFL and college football, and that's big facts. So. Mitchell Wilson Jr. KC will beat New England in the AFC Championship game. Well, if you got Honey Badger, right? You got Chris Jones. Who? Chris Jones. A little Mike Jones reference there for you guys. Frank Clark, lots of other pieces. So we'll see, if you guys can get there. But the thing is that the coaching and the play calling is better with New England than it is with Kansas City. But that's not saying that Andy Reid can't come up with the ultimate game plan, or maybe Honey Badger or some of these other guys can come up with a couple more plays that they didn't get last year. I would be ecstatic if Kansas City or San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers made the Super Bowl, or even the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Colts are about a year or two away, but I think the Chargers and the Chiefs are the team that have the best shot to dethrone New England. Will it happen? We'll see. New England's still always my favorite team to go in, just based off reputation and history. But if any team could get past them, I would say it's the Chiefs, the Chargers, and then obviously the Colts. Those would be my 3 teams that have good coaching, good play calling, solid rosters on both sides of the ball, kickers, the whole 9 yards. So Damon Pacquiao. We'll see. As an Eagles fan, I can say that Reed can't win the big one. Well, he hasn't proven that he could win the big one, but with just we went to overtime last year. They almost made the Super Bowl, and I'm just going to call it right now. If the Chiefs would have played the Rams in the Super Bowl, personal opinion, I think the Chiefs would have won. Patrick Mahomes, he would have got sacked a couple times by Aaron Donald, but just with that offense, that way it was playing, even though they might have not been able to stop Goff and the offense as much, the game would have been higher scoring, but I think the Chiefs would have had enough based on how they were playing last year with the depth that they had. Travis Kelce, Tyreek the Freak Hill, Sammy Watkins, Damian Williams. They had enough, to me, offensively, where they would have been able to get the win. That's kind of a bold, hot take, but that's me personally. The Rams are great. They were one of the best teams in football. I love the Rams, you know what I mean? But with Todd Gurley not being 100%, that definitely would have held them back. Even that being said, the Chiefs had a hard time stopping anybody last year. They would have won the Super Bowl last year. The only way that I would have feel that Kansas City wouldn't have won the Super Bowl, or it would have been kind of a toss-up, is if the New Orleans Saints would have beaten the Rams like they should have and not get screwed in that call, towards the end of the game with the pass interference. That would have been the ultimate Super Bowl. The Chiefs, the Saints. Who do you root for in that? Obviously if you live in New Orleans, or if you're, in Missouri and you're, a Kansas City Chief fan, you know who you're rooting for. But as far as like fans league-wide around the whole United States, it would be probably 50-50. People would be rooting for Drew Brees because they want him to get the ring, but then people are like, wow, Patrick Mahomes, the clone, Showtime. That would have been the best matchup, period, for me. Javon Wright, I'm back. He says, I'm off the ground. I jumped off the bed. I'm off the couch. I'm not on the carpet anymore. Good to have you back, Javon. I got your message yesterday. I apologize for not hopping on yesterday, but I had to run some errands. I had a nice little barbecue at a friend's house, ribs and mashed potatoes and corn, and by the time I was ready to go online, it was like 11 Pacific time, like 1 or 2 in the morning, East Coast time. I didn't think anyone would be there, online at that point. A couple of you guys, but, that's kind of how I think. John Roberts, love you. Thanks for your opinion. I believe. Got to believe in your teams. You got to believe in anybody that you believe in there. Can't give up. I'm a Bucks fan, Damon Pacquiao, no love for Malcolm Jenkins. I love Malcolm Jenkins, but I just don't think he's a top 5 safety, anymore. He's a little bit older. It's like guys like Eric Weddle. Can they still get it done? Yeah, you know what I mean? But they're really not the same type of players as they were before. But you better believe the leader of the defense, right, not named Fletcher Cox, it's Malcolm Jenkins. And if they make an NFC championship game, it's going to be because of those 2 guys and the rest of the supporting cast. I love Malcolm Jenkins. I love what he's been able to do for that roster. And as far as passion, excitement, holding guys accountable, Malcolm Jenkins is it. To me, he's the leader on the defense. Even though Fletcher Cox arguably is maybe a better overall player now, Malcolm Jenkins has been doing it for a long, long time. I have the most ultimate respect with a K, respect, right, for Malcolm Jenkins. Believe that. He's an amazing player, man. I wish Malcolm Jenkins was on my team. No joke. All right, Mitchell Wilson Jr., what do you think the immediate impact of McCole Hardman could have on the Chiefs' offense this year? Amazing upside. He was going to be the guy that started and took over Tyreek's spot if he would have got suspended. An athlete, a guy that has good hands, that can run good routes. Another weapon on top of the weapons on weapons on weapons that they have. Andy Reid's offensive play calling is going to be through the roof. They're going to be scoring 30, 40, 50 points a game. It just depends on, who they play on defense, if they got someone that can really, minimize some of the plays. But they're going to score a lot of points this year. And I do like Hardman's upside. He might be able to score 3 to 5 touchdowns this season, just depending on how many Mahomes gets. If Mahomes is at 50 or 40s or high 40s, he'll have his fair share. He'll be able to get maybe 500-600 yards, maybe 3 to 6 touchdowns. But all the other guys, Tyreek should be double-digit touchdowns. Sammy Watkins, if he can play a full season, which is yet to be seen, he could be over 10 touchdowns. Travis Kelce will be over 10 touchdowns. And if he's not at double digits, he'll be at like 9 for like 11, 12, 1,300 yards. So it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to watch Chiefs football, the Chiefs kingdom. It's going to be exciting moving forward. Elliot Evans says the Nolan Saints are going to go 14-2. I disagree. I think that they're a great team, right? Is it possible for them to go 14-2 or 15-1? It could happen, but I'm thinking kind of more like Damon thinks. I think the Saints are going to win 12 or 13. There's going to be a few games that they get beat in the division, right? They're not going to just go 6-0 in the division with Atlanta 2 times home and away. Think about it. Panthers home and away. Bucks home and away. Bucks are the worst team out of those 3, right? But you just never know with the NFC South if you've watched them in the last 5 to 10 years. Oh, someone's calling me. Hey. But if you watch those people, in those divisions, you know that that's going to be something that you can't just sweep teams. I mean, usually at the very best, you're going to be like 4-2, maybe 5-1, especially in a competitive division. But I don't think that they're just going to run it and go 6-0 in the division. As great as I think that they are, and as much love and pub that I give them, you're going to drop maybe 1 to the Bucks, maybe 1 to the Falcons or Carolina. You know what I mean? Or maybe you'll sweep the Bucks and then go 1-1 with Panthers and 1-1 with the Falcons. Teams kind of give their best, especially for opponents in the division. Everyone knows that. So I think, around the 12-13 win range is where I kind of have them. The lowest the Saints are going to win is 11. And if they win 11, the other teams are going to be, a lot lower than that. I mean, the second place team will probably be at 9 if the Saints are at 11. And that's only if injuries happen to Michael Thomas or AK-41 Alvin Kamara. So, but we'll see. I mean, it could happen. You never know. I mean, they could overachieve and just, get crazy. Because if you saw in the beginning of the season, the Saints looked amazing. Then they played the Cowboys, right? Remember that game? And how the Cowboys defense just shut you guys down. So you just never know. Once you play an elite defense, sometimes Drew Brees and some of the playmakers, they struggle a little bit. And it's not necessarily because of their age. It's because the team on the other side has got an elite defense. And you got an elite defense, you're always going to be in a game. You run the ball, you got elite D, you're going to be in every game that you play, especially if you have good play calling. So, all right. Heel puck. Well, I thought I drafted well. I had Saquon. Took round 2. I took AJ Green. Obviously, he had a turf toe. Round 3, Dalvin Cook. Injury problems. Yeah. So this year, moving forward, I wouldn't be looking at AJ Green. But if you end up going Saquon or Dalvin Cook could be a guy if he can stay healthy. That's a nice 1-2 combo. But yeah, sometimes that sucks in fantasy when you pick. I had a lot of injuries too with me and Marcus's team in fantasy, and it just derailed us. So you have to go on the wire and get guys like Damian Williams, Gus, obviously on the Ravens, and a few of these other guys. You just got to be able to make it work. You know what I mean? It's tough, but it's one of those things in fantasy football. If you want to be a champ, it's a 24-hour job. You got to be able to keep reading and looking at everybody. So. John Roberts says Chiefs will have a slowdown year this year. The weapons they had were insane. I disagree. I think the Chiefs are not going to slow down. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes not go from 50 touchdowns to 20 touchdowns. This guy is a phenom. He's going to be the first pick in the fantasy draft. He is not slowing down. He's not going to have a sophomore slump, even though this is going to be his third year. First year he sat behind Alex Smith, which was huge. Learned last year, blew it out of the water. He's going to throw, if I had to take a guess, he's going to throw for minimum 38 touchdowns, but I think he's going to throw for 40 or more. And that's my personal opinion. I think he's going to have a lot of games where he throws 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. The defense has gotten better. This team is better than it was last year. Chris Jones will be great. You got Frank Clark, which is another underrated player, on the D-line. When he was on the Seahawks, he was the best player not named Bobby Wagner last year. I mean, he makes plays. So now you got 2 guys up front there that are going to wreak havoc. Then you get Honey Badger in the back end. So you're telling me that this team's not going to be as good last year? We'll see. But I disagree. I think the Chiefs are going to be fantastic. And if anyone can get past New England, it's that team, right? Or maybe the Los Angeles Chargers. Those are my 2 front runners, and the Colts. Those are the 3 teams that have the best shot, but they're not slowing down. Patrick Mahomes is the clone of many other quarterbacks put into one. He's like a cheat code, He's Showtime. He's the real deal. And if you watch him at Texas Tech, you'll see what people saw. He obviously did a lot better than people anticipated, right? But he's a lot better than people think. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He's a lot better than people think. And he's not going to slow down one bit. All right. Elliot Evans. I say Demario Davis was the most underrated defender. You could definitely argue that. Agreed. He was the glue for you guys last year. I watched every game of you guys last year. I seen what he was. He was the glue. You had Marshawn Lattimore had kind of a down year compared to the year before, right? Cameron Jordan did his thing, but DeMario was in the middle making big plays every single game. And one of the guys that was a good addition to add to their roster when they got him. I love him. Great player. He's got, good technique. He knows how to read the quarterback. He's got a good, quick first step. One of the big reasons you guys have been as successful as you have been, obviously last year and then, moving forward this year. Mark 4, who is your favorite NFL player ever, old or new? Easy, Derek Brooks. I'm a linebacker guy. Derek Brooks is a class act on and off the field. If I didn't have Derek Brooks, back in the day, obviously in the 95 draft with him and Warren Sapp, those were my two favorite players for the longest time. Warren Sapp, best D tackle not named Aaron Donald, right? Hall of Famer, and then Derek Brooks. But I've always liked guys that could hit, that could tackle, that could cover, that could be a leader, and guys that are class acts off the field. So obviously with, Derek Brooks, Ken Griffey Jr., class act on and off the field, my favorite player in baseball. Clyde Drexler and Damian Lillard for the Blazers. There's just certain guys that I really like that are on and off the field guys. It's really important to me. But Derek Brooks, number 1. As far as a current player on my roster, it's been Levante David since they drafted him out of Nebraska. But I have a feeling Devin White might overtake that just based on what I've seen, read, and heard. Now he's just got to put on the laces, suit up, put the pads on. And I have a feeling Devin White is going to be my favorite current player on the roster with Levante David being number 2. All right. 6 Inc. Mark 4, Barry Sanders for old, Alvin Kamara for new. Running back is my favorite position to watch. Well, yeah, a lot of people's. I love both of those players. Those guys, as far as like running backs from the old school, Barry Sanders is probably one of my ultimate favorites. And as far as running backs that are playing in the league now, Alvin Kamara is kind of towards the top of my list. I mean, he really is. AK-41, he wasn't the first pick in the draft. Saquon obviously gets a lot more pub, but I do love Alvin Kamara. And, with Ingram gone, but you got Murray now too as a 1-2 combo. Going to be exciting. They're going to put up a lot of points. John Roberts, do you think DK Metcalf will be that receiver that the Seahawks need? I do. A lot of people are talking trash. Some of the other NFL players on like Twitter are like tagging him and laughing because they think that he can't run routes. He does have a problem running some of the routes. His route tree isn't the greatest. He can run deep route, go route, post route. But as far as like a comeback route, slant routes, he hasn't really proven that he can, get off the ball and get separation from these, corners or nickel corners or safeties that are going to be guarding him since he's a big guy, but he's big, right? He's physical. He looks like Aaron Donald. He looks like some, weightlifting champion right out of high school going into college and from college to the pros. The thing that he has going for him is his size and his strength and his hands. So if you use him in the red zone, you have Tyler Lockett on one side, right? And you have him on the other. Just go up and get it like Jimmy Graham used to do early in his career. He can score. If DK Metcalf ends up getting 10 touchdowns when it's all said and done in the season, I wouldn't be shocked. If he ends up getting over 1,000 yards receiving, I wouldn't be shocked. I think there's a lot of other guys that could probably be just as good, if not better. Hollywood, is going to be good. Hollywood Brown, and there's a few other wide receivers that were in this draft class that I think that can be good. But with Doug Baldwin Doug Baldwin moving away and not playing football anymore, that really leaves the door open for Lockett to be the number 1, which I loved. I had him last year in fantasy. I think he's going to be great. And then I think DK is going to be great too. I think that he's going to show people that he's better than people think. And over the next 3 years, his route tree running will get better. It's not going to get better this year, but it'll probably get better in the offseason after this year. And then hopefully he'll be able to run comeback routes, curl routes, slant routes, 10-yard and out routes. He's going to have to work hard just because he's got a lot of upper body strength. So his legs are going to have to keep up with the upper body and kind of, mirror themselves out for him to actually take the next level. Jason Lau, do you think Darrell Henderson will make an impact if Todd Gurley's knee is not right at the beginning of the season? I like Darrell Henderson so much, you could start him week 1. I know that's shocking for a lot of people to think, like, how good is this guy, right? Did you watch him in college? Do you know how good he is? This guy could be like, that third down back. Todd Gurley, a couple snaps, first down, second down, third down back, Darrell Henderson. If Todd Gurley goes out because the knee is just too painful and he goes out, like, let's say, halfway through the season and they're sitting at like 6-2, they're still going to be able to win a good majority of the games with, Sean McVay, Jared Goff in the offense. And at some point, if Darrell Henderson ends up being the number 1,
just because of Gurley of the injury. It wouldn't really shock me. I mean, I don't know what we're going to see from Gurley. Is he going to play 20 to 30 snaps, at running back and getting those looks? No. It's going to be like 10 to 15 is what they're saying. And then instead of getting maybe 10 looks out of the backfield on like screen passes, it might be like 2 to 6. So the dynamic is going to change, but Cooper Kupp coming back healthy and the rest of the team. I really like Darrell Henderson. I'm not sure if I would like grab him in fantasy, like maybe like a deep dive, someone to stash. So if Gurley gets injured and you got someone that could be the Rams number 1, that could be deadly. So that might be someone you guys look at, as a deep dash, just someone just to kind of put back there, a deep save, someone that you can just have there deep in the roster. And then if he ends up starting, that could pay dividends, moving forward. But I do like Henderson a lot. He's going to make an immediate impact with that offense, especially with Todd Gurley not being 100%. That's big facts. Yeah, he definitely has speed and strength. He was shaky on some of the other things, but if you got guys around you like Todd Gurley and you got Cooks, you got so many good weapons that are on the offense, especially with Jared Goff trying to mentor and Sean McVay, they'll be fine. You know what I mean? Sean McVay to me is one of the smartest, head coaches period, in the whole entire NFL. And that's big facts. His memory for remembering plays and what plays were called. He's got photographic memory, and that's insane. I haven't seen too many guys that are like that. So. All right. Elliott Evans, the Saints had the best rush defense last year. They were good. John Roberts, I need to get a soccer player to work with DK on his footwork. He has a hard time turning. He does. But if you were built like that with that kind of muscles and upper body strength, of course your legs aren't going to probably be able to, match up to your upper body strength. But yeah, if you could get like a ballet soccer player, ballet instructors, like someone to kind of do like the unorthodox, training that some of these other NFL football players do, that could actually make a huge difference with him and his footwork. Toe drag swag on the sidelines, to be able to work on his footwork. That's what's going to be able to take him from being a above average wide receiver or average to being a good or elite wide receiver, is being able to learn those routes and work on his feet. John Roberts, I totally agree. All right, let's see here. Elliott Evans, old wrestling is so much better than new wrestling. Man, you don't got to tell me, man. I grew up in the birth of wrestling, you know what I mean, with the Hulk Hogan era, 85 with the WrestleManias, seeing WCW Nitro with all the older guys move over, Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, all the rest of them. Then going into the Attitude Era, Mankind, Stone Cold, it's definitely gone downhill a little bit. But with AEW coming around with on TV, on TNT in the fall, is going to compete with Raw. And I might end up watching that and then is recording Raw and watching that on the DVR later. Because with, Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, obviously Goldust, Stardust. You got Dean Ambrose over there as John Moxley. The roster is pretty nice. They're up and coming. A lot of guys that have expiring contracts are going to move on. And AEW is going to be one of those things that it'll be like the Monday Night Wars when it was Nitro, versus Monday Night Raw. I think that they're going to be around for a long time. And the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, Khan, is a part of it. So they have money. They're not going anywhere. So if you haven't heard about AEW, look it up on YouTube. Look at some of the pay-per-views they've done recently. And they're going to be on TV battling it out with Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, depending on when they do their show in the fall. It's going to be super exciting. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. So let's see. Heel Puck, have you heard that SmackDown Here Comes the Pain Remastered could very well be in the works right now? Here Comes the Pain Remastered could be very well. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be awesome. Lenny D, wrestling's awesome. I agree, man. I mean, I'm never gonna quit watching. It's one of those things that no matter what's going on, it's always on. It's always on Monday Night Raw. It's always on. It used to be Thursdays, now Tuesdays for SmackDown. And like as much as I love football, I will never miss wrestling. I will always keep up on it. Sometimes the writers on the wrestling is kind of piss poor. Sometimes the wrestling, WE and UFC, even boxing. Well, that's your personal opinion. I mean, but it just depends on if you have favorites. If you have favorites in boxing, like if you saw Pacquiao, you know what I mean? If you see certain guys, if you have UFC fighters that you like, if you're a Conor McGregor kind of guy or whatever, or if you got guys. See, for me, I like factions. So like when the Shield broke up, Roman, Seth, man, it's just, I can't even talk about it right now. Just, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. It's like the NWO, NWO Wolfpack, black and white. Like, you know what I mean? It just one of those things that they don't have a whole lot of them out there. The New Day. You know what I mean? Certain things, it just depends on the connection you have and how long you've been watching. I've been watching for 33 years. So I think that my love for it is pretty strong. You probably don't have the same type of, love for it. And so, but if you did and you continuously watch something for that long, you're going to fall in love with it. And it's never, playing with wrestling figures as a kid, besides video games and the wrestling ring, that was my favorite thing to do. So obviously it's something that's been kind of close to me for a long, long time. I still collect wrestling figures. I don't open them up, but I still have a bunch of them, elite figures and all these old, rare old ones. I still kind of do that as far as being a collector. So, Elliot Evans, I'm more into boxing than wrestling or UFC. Hey, boxing is one of those things that used to be in my era with Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, and it kind of has gone downhill a little bit based off the big names. But boxing fights still end up getting a lot of money. UFC to me is a little bit more exciting than boxing right now. But I mean, if I'm watching a pay-per-view, as far as if I can watch WrestleMania, right, or SummerSlam or Royal Rumble, right, I'll watch that over any UFC or boxing just because those are like the best things for me to watch, based off what I'm going to be able to see in return. But UFC fights are really exciting because you just don't know what's going to happen. It's not like scripted. So Jenkins to the Eagles is one of the best free agent moves of the 2010s. Agreed. Getting him essentially led you to the Super Bowl, as well as having guys that stepped up, and Fletcher Cox being an animal too. That really helps. Definitely agreed. Chiefs wide receiver group Mitchell Wilson Jr. shall be known as the Legion of Zoom. That's a good one. Instead of the Legion of Boom, the Legion of Zoom. So maybe in some of the broadcasts moving forward, with your permission, I might actually use that. That is that's a nice little nickname, the Legion of Zoom. You know what I mean? We might have to use that. And we always come up with our own, me and Marcus. But you know what? As far as like a group, I like it. You know what I mean? And the thing is once we do a video, it seems like the NFL or the people that do the NFL social media accounts, they copy us, or other people on YouTube copy us. I mean, it's okay, I guess. You know what I mean? If it's the biggest form of flattery. But like when we said, it's 12 noon, what time is it? It's time for a sack lunch, yum, yum, yum. And then you look on the NFL and then you'll see like sack highlights and it'll say sack lunch with a little paper bag or whatever. Come on, man. You didn't just make that up. You got that from us. You know what I mean? Not saying that we come up with every trendy thing that's out there, but I definitely have seen them steal some of our stuff. Whoever it is, YouTubers or, other organizations looking for the new thing that's hot on the streets for nicknames. Let's see here. What star receiver, Six Ink says, do you have besides Tyreek the Freak? It doesn't matter. They got Sammy Watkins, but they have the best tight end in football, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce and Tyreek the Freak, that's good enough for me, baby. They're going to be able to dominate, so it doesn't matter. Jason Lewan. I know this may be off topic, but let's just say if the Bucs move on from Winston, who would you want at QB? Number 1, Tua, right? From Alabama, Roll Tide. Number 2, Justin Herbert. Give it a shot. 6'6", big, nice body. He has to work on his accuracy. That's why he had to come back to Oregon. Obviously with what he's been able to do in college with Marcus Mariota, and he kind of capped out, it looks like, maybe going into the NFL, but maybe Mariota just needs a change of scenery and to go to a new team. Like imagine if Marcus Mariota was on the Bears, maybe a different change of scenery, or a different team that maybe had some better weapons at wide receiver. What if Marcus Mariota was like on the Falcons and Matt Ryan wasn't there and you had Julio and Calvin Ridley? Maybe they just need a change of scenery. But I do like Tua. I like Herbert. I like Trevor Lawrence at Clemson a lot. Anybody. I'm just looking for somebody new. I just don't want Jameis anymore. I'm ready to move on. I've already seen 3, 4, 5 years of him. Even though he might get better with Arians, he's too much of a knucklehead and he hasn't matured to enough for me to move forward. Stealing crab legs, grabbing crotches and grabbing asses when you're going to go get a burrito, with like a Lyft or Uber driver. It's just too many things, you know what I mean, for me. He should be already more mature at this point. And I think that he's fallen on deaf ears, like when he licked his fingers and said, oh, we need the W, right? It's like, I feel like, it's like you have a coach or a teacher and they keep trying to like tell you to do things, and then it just kind of goes in one ear out the other, and they're not really playing hard for you. They played harder for Ryan Fitzpatrick last year than they did for Jameis. So I think that he's kind of going on deaf ears now. So I think it's time to move on. So even though if Arians likes him, I don't. I'm ready to go to somebody new. So, all right, John Roberts, 50 TDs was a one-off. He won't do that again this year, which means that they'll slow down. So going from 50 to 45 touchdowns is slowing down, or maybe getting more rushing touchdowns, or 50 to 40 is slowing down. Come on. Let's be real. The Chiefs are still going to dominate. And other people, like other quarterbacks, you could say, yeah, that was maybe a one-off, and he's going to go and catch reality and go from 50 to maybe like a 25 or 30. But this isn't your average quarterback. This is the best quarterback that's out there right now based off what we've seen going into the season. Fantasy, he'll be the first quarterback taken. And the defense has improved. So what part of the team looks worse than last year? You got Chris Jones, which will be great. You added Frank Clark. You added Honey Badger. You got McCole Hardman. You have Damian Williams going to be the starter from day one. Tyreek is not suspended. So how are they not going to be able to keep up? That's the question I have to ask you. You know what I mean? They are going to be good. They are going to be the front-running team to knock off New England, besides Los Angeles Chargers, in my opinion. And then the Colts might be able to surprise some people too. So that's just me personal, not being biased. I'm just saying how I see it. So Mahomes is special. And then Andy Reid is calling the plays, and he's a genius. Yeah, he might not have gotten over the hump yet, but he will. I truly believe the Chiefs will win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. I don't know what year it's going to be, but they will. And that's big facts. Okay, Mitchell. See, I got you, Mitchell. I know what's up, man. Kelsey is phenomenal. Best tight end in football. Zach Ertz, Kittle, Ebron. Those are the best. Elliot Evans says, I think the Saints will win 14 games because we haven't had a tight end like Jared Cook since Jimmy Graham. Agreed, right? But if you've watched Jared Cook's tape, he's streaky. There'll be games where he gets 110 yards and, 2 to 3 TDs, but then there's games where he disappears and he gets 1 catch for 5 yards. So you can't bank on like when Jimmy Graham had the, kind of the chemistry with Drew Brees and when he was getting 10 touchdowns a season, year in and year out. Jared Cook is a better tight end than you have had in a while, but you got to remember there's going to be games where he only gets you 1 or 2 grabs for like 5 to maybe 35 yards, but then there'll be games that he gets multi-touchdown games. And like in fantasy, I wouldn't necessarily be banking on him every week because you just don't know what you're going to get with that connection. So Cooper, yo, sorry, I'm late. I was at church. Good to have you. I wasn't on yesterday. I had a lot of things. Barbecue. I ate a massive amount of ribs and corn on the cob and mashed potatoes and a little bit of beer. And you know what I mean? By the time I was ready to go online, Cooper, it was, 11 at night here Pacific time. So I thought I would just go on in the morning and go over everything with you guys. Appreciate every single one of you guys. All the donations that you guys have been throwing out in the last, 2, 3, 4 days has been amazing. Like I said, I just like to do this so I can connect with you guys, answer your questions, because I know a lot of times there's not a lot of groups out there that'll be able to answer your questions that you respect. ESPN and Fox Sports is kind of, that's kind of like old. We're more of like the urban, what's hot now? You know what I mean? Like, we're like you guys, me and Marcus. You know what I mean? We're not like some, 80-year-old guy in a studio that you don't really have any connection to. You know what I mean? We watch football just like you guys are. We're fans. We're not always going to agree, but, you can respect the opinions. And there's not a lot of us out there doing this type of thing. You got me and Marcus, Northwest Sports Fanatics. You got the Sports Fury, which is an awesome channel. We both follow each other. They have a nice little channel that they've been growing too. But there's not a lot of us out there, you know what I mean, that people can really respect. So if you don't, follow or subscribe to Sports Fury, do it. They're awesome. You know what I mean? Follow them, just like you follow us, you know what I mean? And they'll be able to give you good things also. One sec here. Looks like I had some kind of random call. I think someone wants to go to breakfast, but guess what? I'm recording right now. So I'll get back to everybody here in just a second. So apologize. So one moment here. All right. Got to turn the phone off here for just a second. All right. So let's go back to this. So Cooper, I'm glad you're back from lunch. All right, let's see. Mark 4, do you think Eli Apple will have a better year than last year because he now has a better team, better locker room, some experience with the playbook under his belt? Eli Apple was one of those guys when they picked him up from the Giants. I thought that was a nice little pickup for him. Agreed. He'll have a full season. He's had the offseason. We're going to see training camp, and NFL Network is going to show all the teams, so I'm super excited to see where that goes. It's going to be an exciting time, moving forward with everything, because I think that he does have a unique skill set, and if they're going to make a deep run, he's going to have to be a part of it. Maybe him and Marshawn Lattimore can kind of push each other to make big plays, but I do think that he will play better, and he's going to make more plays for the Nolans Saints. I truly believe that. Lenny D, I still watch and play wrestling games. Me too. He says, I went to WrestleMania 32. I wish I did. So, all right, let's see here. So Six Ink, I guess that is why I'm a fan for only football. This sport has been in my family since the 60s, and it passed on to today. And my dad was into the Steelers in the 70s, so that passed on as well. That's awesome. You know what I mean? It's when you get certain connections with your family. Like my dad has been a lifelong Dodgers guy. He used to live in L.A., so even though I'm a Ken Griffey Jr. Mariners guy, and the Mariners suck and they lose a lot of games, well, I always root for the Dodgers because of my dad, so that sometimes those things get passed on. He follows the Ducks because of me, but doesn't really follow the Blazers or anybody else. So everyone has their niche, everyone has their favorite teams, but that's cool if you can follow in your dad or your family's footsteps, moving forward. So that's definitely something that I think a lot of fans are in that same boat with you, Six Ink. Let's see here. Who dad? Anonymous Donut. Jason Smith, what's up? Anonymous Donut, do you think the Saints will pull in a Super Bowl this year without any NFL boof D? So, buffoonery. I think that I think the Saints have a great chance to make the NFC Championship game. The only way that they would maybe fall short of winning a Super Bowl, is just the matchup. If it was Saints-Chiefs, could go either way. If it's Saints-New England, New England might have the edge just because of their history. A lot of people with Vegas and the voters, but Brady versus, Drew Brees would be exciting. Patrick Mahomes versus Drew Brees, but I definitely think they boofs with any NFL boofs. Yeah, the pass interference thing to me was ridiculous. And so, they're going to be changing some of the rules. And that was one of the probably worst calls I've ever seen in sports. And I really honestly felt bad for Nolans Saints fans. That was not okay. You know what I mean? But sometimes you just gotta move on. You know what I mean? You got to move on. And that's when it's going to make the team hungrier this year. Minneapolis Miracle the year before, that pass interference that, with what was going on, the non-call, getting blasted. We'll have to see. There'll be a lot of bad calls. You have to think human error, about a lot of bad calls that are going to happen in the NFL, but hopefully they clean it up a little bit better. But I like the Saints' chances. I think they're going to be the hungriest team in the NFL this season coming into 2019, and that's big facts. So, Young Nola, I'm back. Kind of late, but you're here. I know I've already been online for about an hour and a half or so I'm probably going to have to cut it a little bit short, probably within the next, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe I'll go for another half hour. As you can tell, I'm sweating in here, so it's pretty hot here. I don't got the fan on, but I'll be back later tonight. I promise. I'll do one more video later tonight. Maybe go over some of the linebackers or some of the other positions. Just talk NFL with you guys. That way I can go get breakfast with a few friends. They want to be able to go out and do that. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on the schedule. Sorry that some of you guys have to come in just a little bit late, but I will be back. But I'm not going just yet. So, obviously, Young Nola, you just came in the room, so I'll stay for a little bit. Jason Lewan, what about Jake Fromm? I like Jake Fromm a lot, too. College football has so many good quarterbacks coming into this season compared to last year. It's going to be really exciting to see what happens. JJ Trilla, I don't know if you can see on the comments there, but YouTube likes to highlight your comments. Once you get a little nasty out there against the Eagles, they highlight them. They block your comment. So you got to keep it PG, my guy. But I love the rivalry with the Cowboys and obviously with the Eagles fans. But Jake Fromm, a good quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, great quarterback. Tua, Justin Herbert. And you even got Jalen Hurts out in Oklahoma now. We don't know what he's going to do. You got a lot of different guys out there. So All right, let's see here. Anonymous Donut, we whooping everybody except the Patriots. Well, we've got to wait and see. JJ Trilla, who dat, we dat. Byron Jones shut Thomas down, bruh. One game. I'll give you that. When you guys played in that game, you surprised the hell out of everybody, including me. Showed me how good the defense really is, right? But essentially, did the Saints win the Super Bowl last year? Did the Cowboys? No, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, we saw the same damn team win again, and New England Patriots. So, we'll have to wait and see this year what happens. The big thing for you, JJ Trilla, you got to get your guys locked up in contract and make them happy. Because if Dak isn't happy, Zeke's not happy, and Amari Cooper's not happy, that is going to be a distraction. But bottom line, also on the defense, Byron Jones, I love him. He played great last year. Let's see if he can do it again. And shut people down. But if you compare Byron Jones to Michael Thomas is a top 2 wide receiver in the league. Byron Jones is not. But Byron Jones definitely played amazing and has earned a lot of respect in my book. Moving forward, big facts. Young Nola, people don't want the Saints to win the Super Bowl, but dog, Breeze better get another ring. I think people do want Breeze to get another Super Bowl. If you look at NFL circles for people that aren't haters, right? People want 2 things, Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers to win a Super Bowl. Out of all the teams and all the players that have been there a long time, I can guarantee you out here in Oregon and a lot of other places nationwide, people I talk to daily, those are the players that people are rooting for outside of their favorite teams. I know I am. I'm rooting for Drew Brees. I'm rooting for Phillip Rivers to get a ring to cement their legacies. You know what I mean? Who wants to see New England win another one? Not a lot of people. You know what I mean? I'm kind of over it. Let's get somebody new. You know what I mean? John Roberts, fantasy, I'd go Mahomes and Josh Allen. Fanboy of both. Well, obviously, if you're a Bills fan, right? He's got a lot of upside. He actually played better than I thought. I knew he'd be better than Rosen, but I had a lot of question marks. But his running ability and being able to rush and improvise on the run using his legs, I didn't know that he had that in him. And that was exciting to see. He definitely was a lot better than I was expecting. So, Cooper, it's the Chiefs Kingdom. Where are you at? Nathan Rizzo, thoughts on Malcolm Jenkins? A straight-up G. If you had to look up straight-up G in the dictionary, you'd probably see Malcolm Jenkins' picture. You know what I mean? He's an animal. Not a top 5 safety in my book now, but he's definitely a top 10 type of guy, top 12. But the impact that he has for that particular team, no doubt. I mean, he is the leader on the team besides Fletcher Cox. I mean, he does amazing things out there. He makes everyone better. He holds guys accountable. He shows the passion on the field. And then guess what? You got Darren Sproles for a year. So I'm excited to see him and see what he can do moving forward. So, all right. Let's see here. Yeah, you don't have to agree to enjoy conversation about football, of course. Sometimes people are homers, though, and they have tunnel vision, though, and they don't really, think things through. They're just all about their team, and they can't give anyone else respect or if they're a good player or whatnot. So, man, so many. Now I'm finally getting caught up here just a little bit. Prayer Man 2009. Hello, brother. Fly, Eagles fly. How you doing? I'm doing great. Where's Marcus? He's at the beach. So I've been took the equipment to my house and have been recording for the last 2, 3, 4 days just to get some extra videos in, connect with the fan base, see how you guys are doing. Like I said, I just wanted to be able to get some extra tape out there for you guys. So I do have to run some errands. I'm going to probably go grab some lunch with a couple of buddies that have hit me up. And so we're about an hour and 32 minutes in. So I'll end the stream. If you missed some of the stream, you can go back once it gets uploaded and watch it. I went over the top 5 safeties going into the 2019 season, plus a lot of Q&A. So I'll do that as well. But I will be back. So I will probably be back later on this evening in a few hours from now. And I'll pump out another hour or two with you guys, and we can talk football. Maybe I'll go into linebackers or maybe, quarterbacks, that I like going in, fantasy football talk, anything like that. So I don't want to go, but like I said, I got to be able to run a few of these errands, but I will be back later on. I appreciate all you guys commenting, liking the stream. And like I said, I'll be back in a couple hours and we'll do this all again. Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I'm out.